Hey everybody, this is Zork65 and I'm doing something a little bit different. So a while back I put up a small video about how to, paint miniatures and such. So I thought, hey, I'll stick with that little artistic thing. I know a lot of people really got into that one. I think it's like one of the most viewed videos on my channel. So I'll do another tutorial video. I'll do another tutorial video to see how you guys, respond to that. And if you like these things, I can keep putting some of these up, giving you like little tools and tricks and stuff on how to use, software better for your benefit. So for example, let's start off today. I'll teach you a couple basics things on Photoshop, just like maybe filters and a little bit on the actual file saving. So let's go ahead and we'll create a new topic, a new file. In this case, I always recommend, depending on what you're doing, if you're going to be doing a lot of it, like for example, I do a lot of thumbnails. Save yourself an actual template for yourself. So for example, YouTube video thumbnails have to be in the aspect of 16 by 9. So rather than do a full, 16 inch by 9 inch, I decided to cut those in half, save myself a little bit on the file size, as well as, have a pretty good resolution on it. Always, my personal preference, I stick with RGB. Some people like CMYK, but RGB is very useful, especially if you do a lot of PNGs on, images, which are basically photos with no backgrounds. So like, for example, that's a new photo that we're going to create, but I'm going to go ahead and open up, let's say, this one. This is actually a PNG I've had for a while. This is actually the new logo I have for my YouTube channel. I did a custom, Illustrator job on that one. I thought it was pretty good, so I thought I'd put it up there. But let's just go ahead and take this for example. So with a PNG, it has this background, like these little. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in on that one by 200%. These little pixels, like these little squares, just to show that there's nothing actually in the background. So for this example, you can easily just select that, and then you select everything else instead. So we do like an inverse. We grab that, Control C for copy, go over to here, Control V, and it pastes it right on there for us. And we can, move that around. We can, take it off to the corner. That way it stares awkwardly at us at that point. Or if need be, we can just leave it in the center. And how to, go ahead and get rid of that background again, if need be, for another PNG. We go to the background layer, convert to Smart Object. Go ahead and rasterize that. Select again. Boom, we're back to where we were. But anyway, that's not the point. We're going to go ahead and back it up a little bit to the clear. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a little bit of techniques that I've had recently that I've learned. So a while back, I think maybe about 4 or 5 videos. Oop, wrong layer. Boop, take that back. Control Z. Basically what happened was I was doing a censorship video and I had to learn specifically how to do, that traditional, like, super pixelated, like having to cover areas, but I still wanted to figure out how to do that right. So for example, we're going to go ahead and do that on my logo, which please do not, deface my logo in any way. But anyway, for now, basically what you'll do is you'll select the area you want. In this case, I'm just going to do, the face and the neck and the hair. We'll just go ahead and do that. And how to achieve those results, we'll go to Filter. And what we'll do is we'll go to Pixelate, because we're going to affect the pixels specifically. Then we're going to go down to Mosaic. This will get that pre-rendered, like very heavy pixelated look on it. Now, the more censored you want it, the more cells you're going to need. So if you really want that blurriness to show up, you can do that. If you want super blurred, that's something I definitely don't recommend. It looks terrible, but if you want to, you can do that. But usually I want to hover around maybe, I'd say about 15, maybe even less than that, to be honest, like 10 to 15 cells per square. So like that's pretty heavy. Let's even go drop down to like 5. And you see, as we can tell, that is very blurred. So if need be, you can move that around still, and it will still maintain that filter. But let's go ahead and back up again to the Ellipse Marquee Tool. This is basically how I select everything in the entire, like if I want to do just general areas. If you're looking for, specific colors, obviously use the magic wand. You can do that. Boop. Just, kind of like contiguous. I couldn't say that word for some reason. It's being weird today. But basically, contiguous allows if it's attached to something, contiguous needs to be on. So like for example, it's off. It's selecting everything in that color, and then you can adjust the tolerance. So if you want everything to be selected that way, pretty much, boom, you can do that, and it'll even just adjust for that darkness. But that's not important. So I mean, it is important, but that's not what I'm focusing on, obviously. But let's go ahead and use some of the filters and layer styles. We'll start off with layer styles. That's the easiest one. Most common one that people use. We'll go over to there. layer style here, drop shadow. This is the most common thing that people will use in Photoshop, just to get that little bit of an outer rim on there. I personally, one thing I've learned recently, you can do 100% opacity, you get that super dark edge behind it, then you drop the distance down to 0 and it's gone. It's just gone. But then if you want just an outline, you can then slowly just get a nice spread going, and then actually if you want to, you can just drop that back, or boom, super heavy outline. But then you can know you just drop down the size a little bit and boom, you have an outline for or something like that. Pretty useful. I like it. Obviously angle's not going to depend really here, just because it's 0 distance, meaning it's straight on the object. But like for example, if you wanted to further adjust it, you know, you can send that way, move it around. Just go ahead and you can play with the tools. That's really what actually Photoshop is really about. Just play with it. You'll learn so much from it. Trust me. But let's go ahead and just get rid of that one, and then we'll look at outer glow. Outer glow is where that white comes in. Obviously it's not going to show up here unless specifically we go ahead and change the color. So outer glow is definitely more used for, you know, darker backgrounds. So if I, for example, I wanted to go ahead and swap these back out, boom, drop that there, and then we throw in that layer style of, you know, the outer glow, we'll see what happens. There we go, gotta wait for it. And then we get that like shimmery outliney look. This one, more often than not, people want to have like almost a halo effect. Then you can have spread distance, and spread usually is the best when it's like super dark and super concentrated in the center. Oh god, I'm getting so burpy, it's weird. But then you have that sort of soft outer glow for it, which is, you know, nice to have. Opacity determines, you know, strength of the glow, so you don't want it to be, you know, too soft and then it's like, okay, it's barely there. But then you also don't want like 100%, because that's like, pah, you have white. Or like in this case, like an off yellow. But the noise also adjusts for that little like staticiness to it, which I actually do love that sort of effect. But it's like if you go too heavy, then it's like, good God. Basically, it looks like somebody took a spray can of spray paint and just pssst right behind me, but it just really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, I used this a lot in when I was taking my college courses, designing some sports logos and things like that, and some advertisements for a Mercury project I did. Definitely something to learn about. I'm not going to go into every single one of these just because a lot of them are just kind of offshoots of these, but outer glow and drop shadow are the two most common one people will use as far as I can tell. So we'll just go ahead and skip past those. And then there's also filters. Filters are probably another one of the best things you can do in sort of these aspects. So it's like they have so many different possibilities, and it's really hard to, you know, cover every single one of them, just because, I mean, if you look, there's at least 6 per category, and there's, good lord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, roughly 9 of these things, and there's just so many of them, it's hard to go through all of them. Filter gallery is where I usually just go, and I can just click through them, like, you know, doing what I want, blah, 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 blah. And it just really depends what you want to do. So definitely check those out yourself. One project I definitely recommend, this helped me a lot of understanding how this actually works. If we go here, then we go to an image, and this is actually just a project I did once. We go to Hue and Saturation. You can actually adjust, you know, obviously how strong the colors are. So for example, boop, boop, we can just basically see how that goes. So I'll reset that back to 0. And one thing that we did in one of my classes, this was a project to understand, you know, the concept of blacks and whites and like different gray scales in between. You take saturation, you drop it down as low as you can go. Basically what that does is it removes any hue and color that you basically would have, and it just makes it pretty much black and white. So for example, we do that, boop, drop that in, go back to adjustments and hue and saturation, drop it down, and it still kind of may have like a bluish tint, but gray isn't just naturally kind of like a bluish tint no matter what. We're going to keep that back at 0, and then what you're going to do, and if this were a normal picture, like actually, hang on, let me see if I can pull up a normal picture. Give me 1 second. Alright, so we've got all the layers here. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to select boopity, boppity, boppity, copy, and we're going to get rid of me. We're going to throw him up there. Okay. So for example, we're going to just throw me back up there, and this is a this is obviously from the Division thumbnail I designed a little bit like a while ago. just a cutout version of my character from the game. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go to Image, Adjust, Hue and Saturation. We're going to drop him down to black and white. So boom, we've got that layout. We've got that set up there. And then we're going to go to Filter, and we're going to go to Filter Gallery, and just give me 1 second while I find the right thing for it. Cutout. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so this is the cutout series, which we're going to go ahead and get as many of those as we can. Basically, we're going to go ahead and get as many numbers of layers as we can do. So this is what we did. Basically, what you do is you get the cutout series, and basically you're going to make as many of these like layers as you can. And what you do is you take that, and basically you have a very simplistic version of your character. And this is just like a fun little art project that we did in class. Basically, you did a picture of a very important person, at least not really in the matter of like their influence in the world, but more of as a I think it was like a special project where you had to pick somebody who what was the word? Not influential in like the in always like a positive way, but like somebody who supported the concepts of like freedom and growth in the world. Most people, you know, they did like Mother Teresa, like Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, you know, the traditional, the classics of those. I personally did a rendering of V for Vendetta. It was one of my favorite pieces. And what you do is with this, and once it's done, you then do a newspaper, you know, cutout version of it, and you just basically start doing, you know, collages of these. I'll probably put up a picture of the one I did. If somebody else wants to try and do that as well, I highly recommend it. It's a fun project if you've got the time. It's very relaxing, and to be honest, it's just a really nice thing to look at. Now, once again, you'll probably see mine, you'll be like, oh, this looks stupid, but I had a great time with it. Just kind of play around with these. I mean, obviously the tools of Photoshop are the big focus. It's really hard to, you know, explain everything in one go just because there's just so much stuff here. But definitely recommend trying something like this. See what you do. Learning the tools is just the easiest way is just to go ahead and practice with them. So, like, work with a filter gallery, work with these, learn the adjustment tools, and just kind of learn these as the basics. I don't want to throw too much stuff at people at the moment, but I really hope that this, you know, helps somebody understand the system, gets a good start into there. And I really do, once again, want to stress this is something that I always recommend. Learn what these things. Set yourself up some presets. Get your things set up to where you can reduce as much of the time as need be for these projects. Because in a lot of cases, if you're constantly doing something, have your rules set up for it. Like, for example, one thing I do is I have let's see here, rules for an end slate. This is just basically, it's a single word document. It's like this long, but it's rules for me whenever I have to put up a video at the end. If you can keep yourself organized at all times with these things, it's so much easier than trying to go, oh shoot, was it 0.1 or 0.2 or what was the adjustment slider? Was it -5 towards the grayscale? And it's like as soon as you can get yourself organized with those, it's almost impossible to like get lost in those, because if you can keep yourself organized, it works wonders. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope, you know, this helps somebody understand, you know, Photoshop a little bit better. Helps you guys get, you know, more creative out there, and like, because it brings more to the table for you guys. But you know, if you guys have any more questions about this or have any issues with these, you know, send me a message. I'll make another tutorial video. I totally understand. But anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.